Welcome to the Tuning In podcast, where we talk alignment, intuition, and our internal guidance system. We cover woo-woo topics in an approachable and practical way. I'm your host, Dana Evans of Alignful.com. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Tuning In podcast. We're on episode 94. So today, I reckon this is going to be a short episode, but I've said that before. So last week, I'll give you an update. Last week, I was guided. It was actually the week before during a reflexology session on the 12th of August. I was guided by my body to slow down and do some sort of reset in terms of food and kind of shifting a little early, at least here in Colorado, into the fall. And so through that, it was pretty clear the guidance that I was to do an Ayurvedic Kitchari cleanse. I feel the word cleanse is a little strong because it has a lot of connotations, but it is just a very simplified way of eating. It's a mono diet. It is an ancient practice. Ayurveda has been around, well, forever. It was one of the first sciences. It's the science of life is what it actually breaks down to if you were to break that down into Sanskrit. And I have been practicing Ayurveda practices and the Kitchari cleanse for, probably 9 years now. Maybe 10. So I'm very well versed in it, and I've studied it, and it's just very well known to my body and my nervous system, and we all, me, myself, and I, me, my inner voice, and I, we all love doing the Kitchari cleanse. So when I received that guidance, I'd already I was led that way. And if you've been listening along, you know, I feel like I'm beating this dead, but I hadn't been wanting caffeine. So I'd been phasing out of that. Alcohol wasn't tasting that great. And certain foods, my system had said soup and fruit, rice and beans. And I was like, okay. So I embarked on that on Sunday, the 15th. And I got all the delicious vegetables, and it's so simple. It might sound complicated if you Google it. If you're actually interested in it, let me know. I have a little guide that I have because I used to run this cleanse actually for people at my yoga studio. So I'm very well versed in leading people through the cleanse. But it's very simple. All you do, you make some rice and beans. So you can use lentils, you can use canned beans, jarred beans, dry beans that you cook, whatever you want. And then I chop up a bunch of vegetables, pre-chop them, pre-make rice, pre-make beans, and then I usually make a vegetable stock or a bone broth. I do like to make my own. And then every day you saute up the vegetables, so it's cooked vegetables, and then you add in the rice and beans and broth and let it simmer any consistency you want. I like mine a little more soup-like. And you saute it in ghee or coconut oil. And then I like to add coconut milk and lime and sea salt and lemon. And then you toast some fennel, cumin, and coriander seed in ghee. And then you drizzle that crispy spice oil on top and eat it with cilantro. And it is so good. It's the best. It's so good. And I make it even when I'm not on a cleanse. And I've made it for people. I've made it for people visiting and friends and guests. Everyone loves it. It's so delicious. It's so satisfying. It's so soothing to your nervous system. It's tridoshic, so it balances all three of your constitutions, which is Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. I'm not going to get into that, but it's basically balancing for all parts of your system. Those seeds in particular are balancing, and it's wonderful. So that's only part of it, though. So the food is basically a way to eat a mono diet. So you're eating a simplified food. You're eating the same thing for every meal. And then I was eating fruit just because my inner guidance told me to eat fruit. Normally you wouldn't, because the things you're not having, I like to talk about what you are having because I don't like to think about it as cutting out, because what you're having is so satisfying. But what you're not having in this case is gluten, dairy, corn, sugar, so any added or processed sugar, caffeine, or alcohol. There might be some more things, but those are the main things that you're not having. So you can imagine, a lot of those are pro-inflammatory items, and they can cause different reactions within our bodies, right? Especially hyper-processed flours and sugars. The food industry has screwed those up for us. So I did have some maple syrup in my coffee in the mornings. So very simple. You know what you're making every day. You know what you're eating. You can make big batches of it so you don't have to keep cooking. So it really simplifies the whole food process while you're doing this, which means it opens you up for more time and energy to focus on the practices. And the practices are really what embody this Kitchari cleanse. So it is a mind, body, soul cleanse. It is working with all of you, not just a part of you. And it is enhancing and adding to your life, not taking away. So because I've done this for so many years, I just love it, because every time it's time, and I say when it's time because my mind no longer chooses when to do a Kitchari cleanse. I tend to like to do it at the change of season, because that's when it can be upsetting for your system. Your vata gets out of balance. And so that's a nice time to do it. But I no longer decide from the mind that I need to do this. I allow it to come to me, right? And that's just another way that I'm living from my inner guidance outward. People like to say from the mind, I've been having too much alcohol. I've been eating badly. I need to do a cleanse. But that's still very mind-driven and controlling. So when you become more subtly aware, and as you become more subtly aware to your actual body, you might find that, well, if you're eating badly, I'm using air quotes, or if you're drinking too much, I'm using air quotes, or you're having too much coffee. I shared you that story, right? Where my mind thought I was having too much coffee, but my body was like, we're fine, until it wasn't. It might be that you weren't listening to your body, or it might be that your mind is making a story that's not real. So as you tune into the subtleties of your system, you'll start to lean into, oh, this is what I need right now. Oh, I don't need this right now. So this cleanse came to me. I didn't mentally decide. In fact, in my mind, I was like, no, it's too early to do a cleanse. I do the cleanse when it's fall, and it's not fall yet. So my mind actually had the opposite of no, it's not time. This is too soon. Interestingly enough, as I embarked on this past week, we had a stark shift in weather where all of a sudden it started getting cool in the evenings. And it was cool in the mornings, and we could sleep with the windows open, and it was a little chilly. And I'm like, oh my gosh, my inner guidance knew before my mind did that fall's coming. It's okay. We can do this. So there's the food, and then there's the practices. And for me, there's many Ayurvedic practices that you can do. My go-to ones, and again, it's when I decided to do this, when my guidance guided me to do this, I was like, okay. And we just know, my system, my body just knows, here's what we do. We buy the food, we do the practices. And it's so beautiful. So things that I was doing, and this is what I'm leading, this whole story is just to lead you into this conversation today, which is how I've been embodying more presence into my daily life in order to just support my energy, to support my nervous system, to bring me back to what's here and now. Because with all the stuff that's going on, with all of the narratives that are being given to us, with all the different perspectives and all the kind of unsettling energy in the air, fall is a shift of season. And once again, it sounds like there's some big shifts coming our way for the fall. And there's a lot of unrest in the world. And so one thing that we can do when that's happening is we don't want to get reactive, but we want to be proactive, and proactive with our mental health, with our energy management, with ourselves, our systems, our bodies, our intuition. And so much of that comes from just slowing down, finding your breath, tuning into your body, and coming back to this moment now. It is so easy to be swept away in the chatter of the world. And there's a time and place for that, but it's not all the time in every place. We have to be able to get back to self, to tune back in, because otherwise you get so caught up in your head, in the mind, listening to other people's minds, that you spiral out and you're like, what is mine? What do I think? What do I feel? What do I know? And when we disconnect from our bodies and get too caught up in the stories and narratives and minds and the chatter of the world, whether that's just like in your family, like with kids, right? It can be really easy to get caught up that, or like a really bigger picture of like the news and the media and friends and people's opinions. And like, there's so much information out there. And there's so much to consume, whether it's like personal development or podcasts or books that you're reading or business books or programs and courses and blah, 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 blah. What is yours? What is needed for you right now? What is best for you in this moment? Because when we're caught up on the external, right? Last week we talked about tuning inward for the answers instead of turning outward, okay? And this week I'm saying when you're caught up in the external, you lose the presence of the now and you get disconnected from your truth, from your inner guidance. And it becomes very hard to look inward. That's why I presented to you the stop, look, and listen method, because it becomes very challenging to look inward when you're always looking outward. But in order to look inward, we have to be able to slow down and tap into presence. So that's what we're talking about this week, how I've been embodying presence more and more in my life. And I would like to point out, this topic came to me in my own reflection of my week. So I will say that I didn't go through last week while I was doing my Kitchari cleanse thinking, I need to be more present. What are some ideas to be more present? It was actually, I was reflecting on Saturday, I was reflecting on my week, and I thought, oh my gosh, look at all these things that I started doing that I hadn't been doing, and look how well they served me, and they served my energy and my feeling of being really grounded and connected to my own self, to my own truth, to my own knowing. And it just settled me, all of these little things that I was participating in the world. And a lot of them stemmed from Ayurveda, but then I just found myself doing some of my own practices. So first off is anything that we can do to connect back to the body is going to help with presence. So even right now, as you're listening, like what's happening below the chin? How are you sitting? What are your hands doing, right? Are you gripping your fingers? Is your jaw gripping? What are your feet doing? Can you feel them on the ground? Is your breath really shallow? What's happening in your body? Do you notice any tightness, any resistance, any pain within your body? Where are your eyes? Are they flickering around? Are you thinking about the next thing and only semi-listening? Take a breath and come back to your body. Hello, body. It's nice to hear from you. What do you need to share with me right now? That alone is so powerful. When things get too chaotic in the mind, in the head, just send your attention into the body. What are my hands doing? What are my toes doing? Can I feel my toes? Can I feel my inner thighs? How do my knees feel? And just get inquisitive. So I did a lot of that. And for me, I often lay down on the bed or the grass, and I just feel. It can be a minute, it can be 30 minutes, it can be an hour. Just getting yourself back to feeling your body. Okay, so that was one very simple one. Another one, and this I just love, people take baths, and I like a bath. I am a water sign, I'm a Pisces. And the bath for me is a very interesting experience because it is one of the few places that I do nothing. I know a lot of people bring a glass of wine and have a book or watch a TV show or voice memo people in the bath, and I do none of that. And the funny thing is that's not exactly intentional. I always bring my Kindle into the bath, and I usually bring my phone so I can play music. And I light my candles and I have my crystals, but I never feel like doing anything. So I took quite a few baths this week, magnesium baths, just because it helps kind of with the detoxification process, relaxing the muscles, and hey, it feels great. And so every time I'd get in the bath, I'd be gearing up, I would feel the nudge that I need to take a bath. And then my mind would be like, oh, it's so much work. I don't want to. It's too late. We should just go to bed. But I was following the nudges versus the mind. And so I would take the bath and then I would just sit there and just stare. And because it was cooler out, I had music playing a couple of the days, just really chill music, like piano music. But even that wasn't sitting well. And I'm like, that's weird. I always like music, right? You can always check when the mind is saying, that's weird. I don't like something. I always like it, because the mind likes to do always and never. And when you're really attuned to your inner guidance, it's it's only the now, right? That's what we're talking about, getting back to presence, the now. So in that now moment, the music didn't feel good. So I turned it off only to realize that I could hear the crickets outside because it was cool out in the evenings. And so we had all the windows open. And with that, I could just hear the sounds of nature chirping for my bath, which was so beautiful. And then before I take a bath or a shower, depending, especially when I'm doing the cleanse, but I like to do this all fall and winter, is I do dry brushing. So I just take a dry brush. You can buy one. Mine's from Primally Pure. You can use code ALIGNFUL10 for 10% off your purchase there. And you just do sweeping motions and you can hear it. I don't know if you could hear that, but you sweep all the way up from the feet up to the belly, and then from the belly up to the chest, from the wrists up toward the chest, right? You're bringing all of the sweeping up toward the heart. And that stimulates your lymphatic system. It stimulates blood flow and circulation. It sloughs off dead skin from your body. And you do circular motions on your joints. It's really good for joint lubrication. And that feels amazing. And you're so present when you do that because you're just brushing your body. And then I take an Ayurvedic oil. I use Banyan Botanicals. I use I'll link all these in the show notes, but I use their body massage oil. It actually smells really good. And then you massage in the same way that you did your dry brushing. So you put oil on your dry skin, and then I get into the bath and let the hot water and the magnesium and the oil all soak into my skin. And I find whenever I'm doing the dry brushing and oil massage practice, whether it's before a bath or a shower, my system is so happy and grateful that I'm taking the extra time to care for myself. Because think about the times, and this is why, by the way, sometimes it is really nice to choose to do a Kitchari cleanse, a cleanse week. If you shift the way you think about a cleanse, I'm using air quotes here, if you shift the way you think about that toward this is a week that I'm going to step back, slow down, and really prioritize caring for myself. So within your own home, in your own schedule, you can choose to have a little mini at-home retreat. Oh my God, I would love to lead? Would that be fun if we did together like an at-home retreat and we could have like a little, like a gentle guidelines that you could do each day, like a choose your adventure each day for slowing down, tuning in, practices that you can embody, like a simplified meal plan. We could do Kitchari. Oh my gosh, that just came to me. I don't know. If you're interested, let me know. But we can choose to do this at home for ourselves as well, because you get so, and I know I do, like I get so caught up in daily life. And then you think you don't have any time, but we do. It's just, we forget that we can choose to have more time. Okay. So think about, the reason I segued there is because talking about doing the dry brushing and the oil massage before a bath, you think about the times that you're showering or getting ready. Like, how often are you really present in the shower? How often are you like enjoying in the luxuriousness of bathing and tending to your body? For me, I know I definitely get into like, okay, I gotta shower. Once I get a shower, oh my gosh, I have to put moisturizer on. That's annoying. And I gotta do that so I can do that so I can get to the next thing so I can get on this call so I can do this so I can make dinner. And I want to finish dinner so I can do my nighttime routine. I want to do that so I can go to bed. And it's always like, I need to get this done so I can do the next thing. And that is the opposite of presence. That is not presence. That is future-paced thinking. And we get stuck in that loop of, gotta do this so I can do that. So the beauty of these practices that I'm telling you about and offering is they bring you back to the present because they ask you to slow down. So when I'm taking the time to dry brush and oil massage and then step into the bath, or just step into the shower, add a couple drops of essential oils to the shower to make it smell yummy and steam. Even if my shower is only 7 minutes, I can choose to be in the shower for those 7 minutes and feel the water on my face and my skin and feel the oil absorbing from the steam, right? And breathe in the steamy air and thank myself, thank the water, have gratitude for the magic that I have hot running water. And it slows things down. So, such a beautiful practice. And then I find during cleanse weeks, I often do the bathing in the evening because I do have more space. Then I take oil and I massage the bottoms of my feet and put socks on. And that's very grounding for your system. And while I do that, I like hug my feet and I thank my feet for carrying me through the day. And I just really tend to my feet. Have you ever had someone like, or in a massage, when someone holds your feet, how ridiculously soothing it is? I don't know what it is. Like, I don't love massages, but when I get them, I'm like, can you just do my scalp and my feet and my face, please? And like, of course, I know that our major reflexology points live there as well, but we can do that for ourselves. So then the other practice that I was doing is just a little bit of movement before bed. So after the bath or whatever, I do my nighttime face routine. So do a little face massage, right? Take care of my teeth, flossing, and then move into the bedroom, light a candle. Again, these are little things to bring more presence into your life. Lighting a candle gives you something to focus on. And then I just did 3 minutes of a little stretching and breathing on the floor. And then I'd blow the candle out and go to bed. Just little rituals, right? Bringing ritual into your life. And in the mornings, I was inspired to do some solo morning walks. And what I found on the walks, this is funny. It's like sometimes you get caught up in presence, which is such a beautiful thing. But I was walking and there's this beautiful bush of like I don't know what it is. It smells like sage, so it might be a sage, but it's these beautiful purple little mini flowers, and the bees love them. And I found myself a couple times walking by and just squatting down and just watching the bees. And I'm like, oh my God, bees are so cool. And watching them pollinating these flowers, I'm like, this is the best TV ever. Okay, so getting really caught up in something really simple like laying on the grass and staring at the clouds, right? Sitting by a tree and listening to the rustling of the leaves, smelling flowers as you walk by them, watching ants. Oh, that's the other thing I was doing. I just watched the ants. Ants are so cool. They carry so much. Like, I was just watching ants, watching the birds. I saw these owls last week. Sitting on the bench. There's a bench on my walk, and I just paused, right? Because the walk doesn't have to be so purposeful. That's the other thing. I was not listening to anything on the walk. I was just being in nature, okay? So I wasn't listening to like a productive podcast. I was just doing a walk and just being in my own system with my own thoughts in nature. And then I paused at a bench, and then I just looked out at the water. And so these little micro things where I think in normal life we can feel like we don't have time to do them, they don't actually take much time, but the mind resists them because they bring us back to the present. I don't know how long I was watching the bees. It couldn't have been more than 5 minutes. But the mind would normally rush me away from that because I got to get my walk done so I can get home. Right? It's like the next thing. But when we add these little micro moments, like 1 minute to massage oil on my feet, 1 minute to just close my eyes and breathe. I've been inviting my clients this past week to take 6 deep breaths once a day. And deep breaths, like 4 inhales, and then 6 on the exhale. Right? Really slow, deep breaths. That doesn't take more than a minute or two. And spending an extra 5 to 10 minutes on your body care, even if it's just a couple of times a week. So we're looking at these moments. Even I would wake up in the morning and make my lemon water, and normally I would do that while reading or catching up on Voxer or something like that. And instead I chose to take the lemon water outside on my patio and just drink that 16 ounces of water while looking outside, feeling the air, the morning air on my face. Again, it didn't take long. They can. I mean, you can spend as much time as you want on any of these, but my point is that coming back to the present moment doesn't have to take time. It doesn't have to take time away from you, but that is what the mind thinks, which is why the mind keeps us from being in the present. So I invite you to explore micro expressions of presence multiple times a day and see how you feel. See what shifts. Where can you make something that's a habit? How can you turn it into a ritual? And what do I mean by that? A habit is something we do on autopilot and it's very efficient and effective. The mind loves habits, good and bad. The mind doesn't care. It doesn't categorize them, but it loves habit. Ritual is putting intention and presence and even spirit into something that may be ordinary. Making your bed can become a ritual, right? Making a cup of coffee, sitting and having your first sips of coffee can become this beautiful ritual. Experiencing it. Experiencing something fully in its presence brings you back to the present moment, and it also can become a beautiful ritual for you. And these things can shift, right? And so what would it look like for the next week for you to invite some ritual in? To invite a few things each day. What if it's just like, this was another thing I did. In between calls, Normally, I often lay down in my bed, but I was feeling called to be outside a lot more. So in between calls or like tasks, I would go outside and just sit on the stoop of my house and just feel the sunshine on my face. Or I'd walk over to a grass patch and sit in the grass and place my feet in the dirt, earthing. And it wasn't more time. It was a transition. It was me transitioning from task or from a call or in and out of work through nature. Getting back to nature. Listening to the subtleties of the sounds of nature. Breathing in my body. Noticing my body. Caring for my body. Caring for my heart. Being in gratitude, just contemplating all the magic that one moment creates. Gratitude can be like, I love my cat, I love my house, I love my car, I love the sun. Or it can be like, I am so grateful for my cat because I remember the years that I desperately wanted a cat and I lived in a place that they didn't allow them. And then my husband didn't want a cat. And then one day I found her on Nextdoor and she was perfect and I love her and that we grew up together and my husband loves her so much and they're best friends. And she's such a supporter and she's sitting here right now as I talk and she's curled up and adorable and in the sun. And that she's such a beautiful example for me of how to rest more. She helps move energy and clear energy. She supports me when I have my client session. She supports my clients. She's hilarious and cute and sweet and cuddly and sassy all in her own, and I just adore her. And her little paws are like twitching right now as I talk about her. I think she's having a dream. Hi, baby. Yeah, she was having a little dream. So, do you feel the difference though? You can take gratitude as surface level, or you can go really deep on that. And same with presence. It can be like, I'm here in the present moment. Or it can be like, can you get into this feeling of being in this body in this moment now and experience the juicy magic that lives here and now? And notice as you do this more often each day, as your mind allows you to do this, because it doesn't really take any more time. It's just a shift of your energy. Do you notice a bigger shift in how you feel, in a lessening of anxiety or stress or worry, in more enjoyment in the small moments of your daily life? And that, my friends, is the power of presence. And it is always available to you for free right here, right now. Free 99 in this present moment. And if you want to learn more about the power of now, there is a book by Eckhart Tolle called The Power of Now. I also love his book, A New Earth, which I find to be even more potent and prominent, especially right now. But feel what you're called into and allow yourself to play with more slowness, more presence, and more peace in everyday life. And as always, I would love to hear from you if you are doing this and if anything is working, if you notice any shifts when you tap into the presence. Also, I would love to hear what resistance comes up when you hear about this. And of course, if you're looking to do more of this, if you want to go into the depths of exploration around the power of presence, around slowing down and truly tuning inward and starting to hear the subtle guidance from your body, from your inner voice of what is the next best thing for you, how to truly and deeply care for yourself, which of course allows you to truly and deeply care and be present for others, right? We have to give ourselves presence first. It makes us more able to be present with others. if that's calling to you and you're feeling the fall vibes of desiring to slow down, create ritual, tune inward, decondition, release old stories and old baggage that keeps you out of the present moment now, right? Really shake off the dead leaves, shake off anything that's not serving you so that you can embody your truest, highest, most abundant, sparkly version of yourself. Then I'd love to know if that sparks anything within you. Please let me know. I am taking on 3 new clients for the fall for the Insight Coaching Experience. And we do all of this magical work together. You're supported, you're guided both through me and through your inner voice and through Voxer. And I would just love to co-create the next expansion of you with you. So send me an email to dana@alignful.com, or I will have a link to a client application and to book a 30-minute chat in case you want to just find out more so we can both see if we're a match. Both the application and the chat are designed to see if I can support you, but also to see what you're looking for and if this is even a match, because I'm very cautious and intentional with who I bring on, because we get really intertwined in our energies, right? As you're expanding and growing and diving deeper into yourself, into your inner guidance. And I pour so much into my one-to-one clients. I just adore this work and am very intentional with who I work with. So that is available. I will be out of town for the next 2 weeks. We have a special guest coming next week, Elizabeth Ralph, the spiritual investor. Oh my gosh, if you're feeling like you're wanting to merge finances and your spirituality, if you want to feel confident in the stock market, if you want to learn how to lean on your intuition as it comes to investing and wealth building and future planning with your finances, Elizabeth is your gal. I have personally worked with her. I am freaking in awe and inspired by her. She retired at age 40. She was literally worked in the stock market as a financial advisor, as an investor. I think she was on the stock floor. Don't quote me. We'll find out in the interview with her. And then she's transitioned into this beautiful work where she's helping people like you and me who are really into the energy and intuition and all of that, but feel maybe a little intimidated by the stock market. She helps us get in, get wealthy, and get connected through really practical practices and intuitive spiritual practices. So she's coming on next week. I'm so excited to share that episode with you. And then I have 2 more episodes planned. I have so many exciting things. I have a body scan guided meditation for you. And then we're talking all about travel in the Best Travel Yet episode. So stay tuned. Lots of juicy, fun things coming your way. As always, I so freaking appreciate you all for listening. And if this resonates with you, or you want to share this with anyone who you think it may resonate with, please feel free to share it. Word of mouth. That's my jam. That's how I work with people. That's the 4 in my human design. I'm a 2-4. My 4 is all about working with people that you know. So anyway, as always, thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Thank you for joining me on another episode of the Tuning In podcast. As always, if this would resonate with anyone you know, please share the episode. You can follow along with my journey on Instagram at Dana_Evans, or find me on my website at alignful.com.